Right, guys, welcome back to another video from Above Average FPL. My name's Adam, and as always, joined by Baker. How you doing, mate?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Another day, another double game week to come.
Yeah, so we thought we'd do a quick 20, 30-minute pod just talking about a few of the questions that we've had from our Discord, going through some of the questions that they have about what to do for this game week, next game week, etc. Talk about a few of the things that everyone's talking about, I guess, but just having sort of our opinion on it. So we start with the game week 27 captain.
Might as well, mate.
Yeah, so Steve-O asks, he says, who is the best game week 27 captain? Is there any specific data behind choosing your captain this week based on the team's doubling? For example, does Tony perform better in away fixtures, especially against Everton and Southampton, or does Mitoma's stats suggest he'll do well against Leeds and Palace? 2 examples. But we've got 4, probably contenders. Are we, at this point, just saying, are we discounting completely players with single game weeks? Because that's a dangerous place to start.
Yeah, I am. In a double game week. I just can't do it. It's not for me. It's not for me. It doesn't mean that I don't think that. I think Salah's a great captaincy option this week.
I think Salah, Rashford. You could. I think the Salah. I think Salah and Rashford feel better than Haaland, definitely. Outside of that, I just if you want to punt, go for it.
Yeah, it's a good point. Say, but, Rashford too.
Yeah. United were great last night.
And he got a rest.
Yeah, exactly.
And I do think we'll talk about this, but I do think there's a chance that it's a bit of a miserable double game week. I think there is a chance that is the potential of it. So it could be, if you think that there's a hat trick in there for Rash or Salah, not against it.
Yeah, but we're sticking to doubles. I think I'm comfortable with going for doubles. Yeah. So
always would.
The big 4 we're talking obviously is Tony, Mitoma, March, McAllister. Where are you at the moment?
So I started the week with thinking to myself, we potted Sunday night, and we looked at Brighton's XG since the restart and just in general, and since De Zerbi's been in. And it makes me want to captain Brighton. What makes me want, my immediate draw to is Brighton as a team. So I started looking through some of the stats, looking at opponents, looking where we're at. Because the thing about the Brighton one is, how much have you heard, like on pods, on everything, to Brighton? Like, it's like almost we don't give them identities anymore. It's exactly. To Brighton too. And when it's like that, it makes me a little uneasy. So I thought I'll have a look for the data for it and have a look if there's anything that makes me uncomfortable about Tony. As it stands right now, there's nothing that makes me uncomfortable about Tony based on who I own. Is I own March and Mitoma, and little spook today on the March minutes. Only a little spook because I think De Zerbi was asked a question about Solly March. So he didn't say, what's the team news? And he said, Solly March is in the list. They specifically said to him, what's the deal? Solly March, Lamptey, Colwill. And he immediately almost dismissed it with March, didn't he? So there's nothing to suggest that there's an issue. But there's a little bit of my nag that says, did the journo ask it because he knows something, or did he just ask it because he got a whack last week? And so I want to see what comes out of any embargoed things, anything we might hear tomorrow on that one. The good thing is they're away, so you might get some information that says, hey, maybe they didn't travel or anything like that. But as it stands, I think Tony is probably the play for me, albeit I still love the excitement of Brighton.
I think that's where I am. I'm more with the excitement of Brighton. I mean, not that Brentford don't interest me. They create big chances. They create big chances, and obviously Tony's on pens, and that's a difficult one for me because obviously I'm same as you, Mitoma and March. You don't have McAllister because we've got a stupid man, and so not having the pens is an issue perhaps, but. As you said, I mean, I went back. We looked at it at the pod last week, and we said that Brighton had 2.5 XG per 90 since January the 1st. In fact, they're dead on 2 XG since De Zerbi took over, and that is dead in line with Arsenal. So if you would consider captaining Ødegaard or Martinelli in a double game week, I mean, you probably wouldn't do it over Saka, but if you were to consider Ødegaard and Martinelli, then I don't think that, you know, captaining Mitoma or March is going to be a difficult. Well, choosing between the two is probably going to be difficult.
Yeah,
I guess I would probably lean towards Mitoma just because I think it feels more fun, and I think I think it just feels more fun for me to captain him than March. And I said on Sunday, I just look at the team, the Brighton team, and again, World Cup winner McAllister, fantastic. You know, you've got Mitoma, who's just a revelation. You know, just Solly March. It doesn't even say.
It's so hard.
It might just be a name thing. I don't know. I just don't feel excited by picking Solly March as a captain. It doesn't. I'm not going to watch the game at the weekend and think, yes, I've got Solly March as captain. Can you imagine that?
No.
Yes, I've got Solly March as captain. What?
No, I can't. It's a serial underperformer of expected data. It's Solly March. Saying that, I think he's involved in everything good they do. And if there is an issue with him,
I'll have him.
Then,
I'll have
him. If he is carrying a little knock, that actually, I don't think it's good for Brighton. Let alone, you know, I'm sure if you're Mac and Matoma, you'll be like, oh yes, Solly March, you know, might have a bit of a knock and stuff, but go watch any of the highlights. Everything good is coming out of Solly March. He's assisting the assister. You wouldn't have any of the goals that you had last week, the returns you'd have had if he wasn't him taking the corner, doing the things, putting Gross through for the Matoma goal, all those type of things. So if he is in a bit of a trouble, then or carrying something, I think it just reinforces Tony, and it's a difficult one to go against Tony. I think in that I feel like the floor is just high. I feel like the floor is like 9-10 points on him. And he is the guy. If we take about the guys, I mean, the two guys that in these games that have got hat tricks this season is Tony and March. So they you know, it's not like he can't score a hat trick. But I don't know if I would feel differently if I owned Alexis McAllister right now rather than March.
I think if I owned McAllister, I'd captain him.
And isn't that maybe enough to just bring him in?
Or to just switch him out for March?
If people really think he's the best captain this week, why wouldn't you just bring him in?
Yeah.
And that is something that I'm struggling with here. Is that, and I think a little bit in terms of the March owners and the seeing the things around the injury, we're going to definitely inflate it if there's something nagging in the back of us that says, quite like the idea of having Mac as captain.
Yeah, but it's March. It's March plus a transfer, right? Is March plus a transfer worth a second McAllister in this week? And I'm not quite sure it is.
Yeah, and there's a lot. The other combination, obviously, is that we're seeing. I mean, as I said, I follow FPL analytics quite religiously the day before transfers, and I'm seeing about 10,000, if not more, transfers in an hour coming in for him at the moment. And I'm like, they're all going to cap him.
Yeah,
they are. I mean, there's people bringing in Haaland, taking Haaland out for Tony this week.
Mm-hmm.
Would you do that?
It's not the worst. I mean, it's not the worst because they're probably sitting on Kane and Watkins as well. Kane, Watkins, Tony, you know, it's perfectly fine for 27, perfectly fine for 28, obviously, because he hasn't got a game, and then 29, he's only got a single game, whereas you would have. I mean, it depends if they've got that third striker, but yeah, I don't mind it. I don't mind it. Like Haaland's away underlyings are nowhere near as good as his home.
Yeah.
And then they've got Champions League they've got Champions League in the week as well.
You know the comedy thing that's going to happen though, mate. If someone takes out Haaland for Tony, they're going to say, yeah, but he's got the game in 28, and then you know what's going to happen. Tony's going to get booked in both games and miss 28.
That would be hilarious. I don't think it's going to happen, but it'd be amazing.
That would be absolute. Yeah, he'd miss 28 and he'd miss 29, wouldn't it? It's a 2-game ban.
Yes. Yeah.
And that would be the rage of rages if you did that.
Yeah.
Oh god. Or he does that. Yeah, he'd miss it, even if he gets 2 bookings across 27 and 28, he could miss the whole double of 29.
The whole double. Yeah.
And that's a little bit what does still put you off transfers a little bit and using them, doesn't it? Yeah. So yeah, we had a look at the data, didn't we? Should we have a little bit more of that?
Yeah, let's do that. So I'm not quite sure how I've got this set up, but hopefully that works. Yep. So very basic at the moment because there's going to be some stuff going in the gap that you can see the big massive gap below the graph. But for anybody listening, so we've got Brighton's opponents and Brentford's opponents. We've got shots conceded, crosses conceded, and chances conceded. Basically, what it's saying is Brighton's opponents concede more of their chances down the left flank. No, hold on. Let's get this right. Which left flank is that? They concede more of their chances down
the left flank, so therefore from the right winger.
From the right winger, yeah. So this is defensive side. So yeah.
Defensive side, yeah.
Yeah. So from the right hand side of the pitch as Brighton are attacking, which is obviously March.
Solid March.
Perfect. And they concede most of their chances down that same side as well.
Yes.
18 each. Yeah.
Yes.
Basically. 6 and 10 in the centre for Palace.
Pretty heavy as well.
It's quite, it's quite a lot.
It's quite a lot. Like, it seriously screams. This is one where if March had scored last week, say March scores the early goal, which he was through and scored it,
I
think most of us would look at this and just go, solid March cap.
Yeah, probably. Yeah,
but he didn't because he's solid March.
Because he underperforms.
And he underperforms it. So we then get a bit like, and also there is a potential that if you're conceding a crap load of crosses from that area, well, that also means he's potentially not scoring.
But maybe assisting.
He may be assisting. So he might be assisting to that back post for Matoma. He might be assisting into the middle for McAllister. He might be assisting Ferguson and the like.
Yeah. I've set this up really badly actually because I could have had the Palace and Leeds chances up against next to each other.
Well, we can work that out. But yeah, so this is Palace. So you can see they're crap from set plays and just I don't know whether it's short corners or whatever it is, but they just concede loads of chances that are created from that right wing.
Yeah.
A few from the left wing at the back post, but it
really concentrated on that right corner.
Really concentrate on that right corner.
And then if we look at Leeds,
I mean, they're everywhere bar left wing, basically.
Yeah, I think that was the overarching thing. I mean, there's a lot here outside the box.
Yeah, like through balls. They just stand aside and just say, "Go on, through ball it up."
Yeah, basically.
See, through balls for me feels like Matoma.
What, as in the pass? He's never there though.
As in getting onto it.
Yeah, but that's not where people are passing. Well, I suppose if this is where the chances are being created from, where's the ball going?
Yeah, exactly.
But then we've got the XG conceded for Leeds, and it's all kind of central, but it does lean slightly. I mean, the goals have been sort of centre left.
Yeah,
see Matoma in there. I mean, you can see McAllister in there.
You can very much see McAllister in there.
I mean, looking at this far right hand side, I'm just wondering whether that kind of marches.
It feels like the Salah spot, doesn't it? It feels like if Salah was there, you'd be like, wow, Salah cap all day long. It's that little area where you'd expect him to just cut in and hit it on his left foot. But
that's where all the shots. Well, that's where there are a bunch of shots. No. That's the other side. I think that's the wrong side. I think you're talking about the wrong side. Because if you're attacking down the left hand side, this is more of a Gakpo, Luis Diaz type, Nunez type spot.
But those blue ones we're looking at, just to the right of the greens.
But the greens are the goals, right?
The greens are the goals.
But yeah, I suppose the blues are the shots that saved, I think, and the reds are the misses, I think.
I believe so.
Which would make sense if the ones on the right,
Data
like on the
voice.
right touch line, was missed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that would make sense. So
I love someone had a shot from about 40 yards on the right hand side.
yeah, no, be interesting to see who that was. Is that
The bigger the circle,
can you see
the
little,
bigger the XG as well. So it's quite a big XG for something.
So it must have been an empty goal. Must have been an empty goal. It's just bizarre because that green one, that green dot at about 35 yards out. Do you recognise that one? Do you remember that goal?
No, who's the bang?
Tony, wasn't he? Because Melier came miles out.
Of course
and he's chipped it over the top. So
of course it was. That's a great spot. Yeah, you know that. You had that.
Oh, I had him, yeah. I had him for that week.
Perfect. But there's some big chances in the middle, isn't there?
There are, which is just screams McAllister.
It screams McAllister.
Just going back to Palace. Let's see if we can scream McAllister on that one.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. Shit.
It really screams McAllister.
It screams McAllister and it screams Mitoma as well. Look at those left hand side. It's like in the area on the right hand side as well, where Solly March would be. Like they're just not scoring from there. There's lots of block shots.
Volume. The volume is definitely higher. So this is the thing actually where it gives a bit of context to it. You can now start to see why the volume says Solly March, because the number of circles that are there on that side, but the actual output suggests McAllister.
Yeah. It's difficult because you can't see how many, because the chances are so big in the middle. It's more difficult to see the volume. It's more difficult to see the volume out there. But I think what we've come to the conclusion is that all three Brighton mids are good. I can't believe
that's the issue all week, is that the team's good, they're really good.
So okay, let's segue because FPL California, he says Ferguson as a third Brighton player. I mean, are we just saying no to that based on this?
I say no, but the reason why I say no is I actually think that Danny Welbeck is a very, very good striker and still is a very good striker, and he comes on and he scores. And I just see Welbeck starting one of these two.
Yeah. I mean, the minutes is the big thing. I mean, he hasn't started many recently. Well, obviously he was out of the side for a while, Ferguson, but he's. Oh God, I had the stats for it. This is so annoying.
I feel like they're muck about with both of them, and I feel like you end up with probably 120 minutes of each of them.
Yeah.
Which is fine for a 4.5, but I don't think I'd want to use one of my spots on them.
Yeah, exactly. Plus, there's good enough strikers everywhere else anyway.
There is again. It's not like it was 3 months ago where we had no strikers.
There's definitely, yeah. I mean, look, if there's not good enough strikers, there's no justification for selling Haaland ever. So people are considering selling Haaland, which means there are enough strikers that you don't need to worry about Ferguson, because you've got the volume and output from the midfielders at Brighton anyway. So I would say, don't worry about Ferguson.
That's the same on me. So I'm exactly the same on that. Which of these midfielders? Who knows? What we do know. So none of these stats particularly point. I don't think they make Mitoma stand out like this is a definite thing. But I saw a thing earlier that 30% of his shots this season he scored with. That's more than Haaland, the most in the league. It's quality. He's just really, 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 really good. I feel like he'll like we talked ad nauseum about like Spurs were really bad, but some would just keep scoring and Kane would just keep scoring. But it's because they're just really good finishers. I feel like Mitoma's stats won't ever fully suggest, volume will be there.
Yeah.
But I don't think it matters, because I think he's just like, you could say last week, he got like 0.9 XG in the game. It's really good. Well, he just taps 2 yard in. So that doesn't really work. But then his other games or the game where he scored like the 20-yard curl in the top corner, I'd be like, he only got like 0.05 XG all game. Yeah, he still scored in that one too. And it's just a very, very, very good player.
So what I take from that is he has the ability to convert low XG chances, and he also has the ability to get into position to convert high XG chances. So basically,
he's 90 minutes.
And basically, he's a good player.
Yeah.
And he's a really good FPL asset.
I started trying to convince myself that March maybe is more of a minutes risk. Now, potentially, if he has got a knock, he is. But they've come off. They've both come off. If you take like the last 6 games or so, both Matoma and March have come off twice. Both games that they came off, they scored 4 goals. So effectively, you're saying you're a 90-minute man unless you're smashing it. Yeah. I do think the thing with March, I've got like a nag that if the game wasn't going their way,
he's
they'd
first.
Be more like, they take him off and have Welbeck and Ferguson.
Yeah.
Whereas I think Matoma just plays full stop.
Yeah.
And with that potential knock or whatever he's got, I feel like that's just slightly bigger. So
cool. Let's wrap this.
You Matoma over March then. 100%.
Yeah, I think I'll go Matoma over March. I'll have to make it. And I don't think McAllister is worth the transfer as well as losing the March points because I think March will score points. So
I do.
Yeah. Next question.
Who do you bench this week is my question. Richard M in our Discord said, who do you bench? Who to bench this week seems a big queue along with captaincy challenge.
So we've done the captaincy bit. Challenge. So
I think you just got to bench your single boys, haven't you?
Yeah, basically. I mean, there's been word that Maddison's not going to play, which is.
Wait, let's just use it. We're not quite sure Maddison.
Odegaard's flagged?
Odegaard's got a flag and was a bit sick in midweek, so might be on limited minutes, or he probably won't be, but just do it. And you defend your Arsenal defender, just
bench your Arsenal defender, and then whoever else you've got. I mean, I am benching Botman. But
are you putting Botman in front of Maddison or behind?
I'll put him in front of him.
Have you? I've currently got Odegaard, then Botman, but I do question it. I just think to myself, maybe I should just put Botman first up.
Yeah, I think Botman will be first up.
It doesn't sound fun, does it? Like we're probably not going to use them. Look at our team. We've mostly got talisman or doubles.
Yeah.
If you look at your single game week players this week, who are your single game week players this week? Trippier?
Yes.
Rashford?
Yep. Saka, Kane, Haaland.
What does it matter?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Talk about just stick them on the bench. Who cares?
Yeah, exactly. Or bench boost.
Or bench boost. Have you considered it at all?
Only on tilt, to be fair. Yeah. I was like, fuck, just want to get rid of this chip. Just get it done. I've got good players. I can get it done. I've got a good team. And something that you said last week, and I have this get 15 doublers, but I'm selling Saka to do that. Does that make any sense whatsoever when I still need to bring Haaland back in as well as Saka? It's like.
But you'll hate your bench. You'll hate your bench at 29 as much as you hate your bench in 27. So
it's true. It's true.
Probably slightly more, I feel.
Yeah. What's the weather like in the UK?
Cold.
It's cold.
It's cold, isn't it?
Yeah, I think.
Windy today as well.
Well, it's all right up here. Funnily enough, it's actually fine in the north of Scotland. It's been sunny all day, but you got to remember. People got to remember if you're not aware, it's not necessarily the pitch that's the problem. Unless it snows on the day, heavy, it's people getting to and from the games and safety and stuff like that. So I think we're okay. I think it feels like it's going to be okay because there hasn't been loads of snowfall today, which is Friday. So by tomorrow, it should be okay. Most of the councils will have done the bits and bobs and cleared stuff up, so we should be okay. Do we want to close out on free hit 28?
Do we want to make up our cold weather theory?
Let's do that.
We didn't do that.
No, we didn't do that. We didn't do that. We sort of segued to the cold and then didn't come back to it. So,
yeah.
Go on then. Cold weather theory.
So I started Googling cold weather, basically like cold weather, Premier League. Does it impact these things? Because, when it's like, like F1 when it rains, you're like, I know they're better in the rain or not. You kind of know what's on more crashes, but I'm never quite sure in football. Does it matter? Because the one thing is you don't play that many games of it, so the sample size is obviously so much smaller when you don't play that many snow games, so we don't really get it. I know certain things actually bothered me when I looked at this. The first thing I saw was that Mo Salah is brilliant with a yellow ball, and I thought to myself, I know that all the time. Took him out with a yellow ball. What's he thinking? It's genuine unbelievable. It's like 1.6 goal involvement per game with a yellow ball is Mo Salah. It's phenomenal.
That's mad.
But there was a study by Dr. Howard Hamilton, who is the founder and CEO of Soccermetrics Research LLC. And he said the bottom line is cold or sub-zero temps do not guarantee below 2.5 goals in any one match, but over a spread of matches, the colder temperatures do help reduce the expected goal tallies. And when the sub-zero matches are clumped together, the goal tallies tend to shrink further. Cold kills goals. Fact. That's what he says.
That's what he said, is it?
That's exact words in bold. That cold kills goals. Fact. And his study showed something like there's a 39% chance that a game will have over 2.5 goals, so 3 goals between the two sides, in weather that's 0 degrees, so 0 degrees. And it basically increases as it goes up until it gets hot, and then it starts going down again. But there's a 59% chance that you'll get over 2.5 goals in a 10-degree match. So like 10 degrees to 20 degrees is like the dream. Anything between there, you've got more chance you'll have over 2.5 goals than less.
You're going to have people running to the bookies in like September and April, just like, yes, let's go.
Yeah, but there is that. Basically, the one thing that the bookies tend to work theirs based on, it suggests basically October to February, they just have a blanket, move it down because there's less chance it happens. And that's when they work it. So, but it's really difficult because like the study, because it's like you do the kickoff they do the temperature at kickoff, but sometimes like between a game, it'll change, won't it? It won't stay the exact degree each time. So it's a really difficult study to do. But the general thesis is that cold kills goals.
Fact.
So it might be a misery. It might be an absolute misery every week.
So we do have to go back and captain the Stupinan now. Is that what we have to go and do?
It does ask you the question.
We've got Brentford. We've got 3. In fact, we've got 3 defenders from the 2 teams, and we've got 3 attackers from the 2 teams.
Yeah, it could mean that Brentford defence is suddenly double Brentford defence, which we've got might end up being the hero of all of us.
Mad.
You can see it being miserable these games, though. You just said to me, what was the difference between Palace in 12th and 20th?
So the difference is what was the difference? I've forgotten already. The difference was 6 points. Yeah. So Palace in 12th have 6 points, and Bournemouth in 20th have 21 points. There's absolutely nothing between it. The Premier League's completely broken in half.
Points. Palace have 27 points. You mean?
Palace have 27 points, and Bournemouth have 21. Did I not say that?
There's nothing, is it? You said 6 points. I'm sure you said Palace.
That's not very good. We'll check this afterwards. We'll check this afterwards.
Yeah, I think people think Everton, Southampton, it's a relegation, but they're all thinking relegation, right? They're all going to scrap for points. I do think there's a situation where if any of the teams that Brighton or Brentford play this week get ahead, they're just going to time waste the crap out of it. It's going to be misery. But yeah, you could think anything with the cold things. You could suggest that you should captain Solly March because he's more used to the cold than those two. Although I think some people probably think McAllister's used to the cold just because of his surname.
Yeah,
we just forget he's Argentinian.
Yeah.
But yeah, do you think players that wear that? It's almost like I thought that with Matoma. Do you think a player that wear gloves are less likely to score or more likely to score in cold weather because they've got gloves on?
More likely to score. You'd imagine they're more likely to score.
Expected gloves. Is that our new?
Yeah, why not?
Why not?
He's got more hair as well, so it's going to keep him warm.
I think March wears gloves as well,
We'll have to double check.
We'll do glove watch.
Just another thing to add in there. It's in so much weather watch on the timeline. It's been crazy. So, are you making any transfers? Just to wrap it up.
The only possible transfer that I would do would be March to McAllister. That's it.
Okay.
if I do a transfer, it will be that one. And it probably needs a bit more news, or it needs something that means that I feel more comfortable that I would cap McAllister over Tony.
Okay, fair enough. I don't think
Yeah.
I'm going to make that move because I don't think the McAllister, as I said, March plus 4 points, I guess, because it will be a 4-point hit when I come to like 29. March plus 4 points equals a McAllister over the period of the 2 games. I mean, it's probably close. And being a coin flip, I'd probably rather bank the transfer and then have it in 29 to get that extra doubler for less points.
Yeah.
I think that's probably going to suit me better.
I think there's some really fun moves in 28. One of the questions we didn't ask was, would you free it in 28, which is FPL California asks us that. I think both of us are known, but
I think you'll find that there's definitely an opportunity there, but Chelsea are going to be the big ones. It's Chelsea and Villa. Villa I'm actually comfortable with because they're a pretty set 11 now. They're functioning really, really well as a team. Like low key, Matty Cash is looking like really good again. Both from a clean sheet point of view, and he's getting in the right areas, creating chances. Obviously got the assist for the own goal against Palace.
Yeah.
Watkins is obviously doing very well. Finey didn't score this week, but had massive chance, and he's
close.
Yeah, good team. But Chelsea, still injury issues. Reece James isn't going to play tomorrow or whenever they play this weekend, but he's not playing. Do we think that they're going to have a bit of lag after the Champions League win? A good win, a really good win, to be fair to them. But are they going to have one eye on the Champions League now as you look to... I mean, so free hit maybe actually is probably okay.
Yeah.
Because you're looking at a one-time opportunity to get in and get out, so you don't have to hold them and carry them through to that point where they play in the Champions League again. It might be a good idea, but I'm not oversold on it.
I know they've got Liverpool, but 3 home games in a row, 28 and 29. I kind of like the idea of getting on. Chilwell for me seems like the standout of... I'm really tempted. And rolling this week makes it easier for me to go Chilwell, I think, this next week. So I could see myself in 28 bringing in Chilwell for Rico, just getting that done, having him for home to Everton, and then a double at home. I just feel like he looked really good. On Villa, I listened to the Green Arrow podcast and Adam Hopcroft, Villa fan, on that. One word of caution he said was that Kamara picked up an injury. Okay. And when he went off, obviously they were against 10 men, he goes off, and he said they struggled without him, even with 10 men against him. Now he does a lot of defensive work. He's been caught out a couple of times, hasn't he? Like taking the ball off the keeper, but he really, really drops deep. So that might be a problem for them in those games going forward if he is out. I don't know how long he's out for.
Okay, cool. Well, we will keep an eye on that. If you are playing your wildcard this week, we haven't covered it, but I mean, you're obviously one step ahead, having a bit more information than those that played it in game week 26. If you're looking to play it next week, again, same deal. Plenty of opportunity in the next few weeks, and we're sort of a bit mellow this week, game week 26 wildcarders, but that's what it is. We prepped for 4 weeks' time, and we'll see what happens over the next 3 weeks. So if you did enjoy this video and you want to see more of it, make sure you hit a like, and if you want to hit subscribe, that would be great. As always, the Above Average FPL podcast is supported by Crypto Block Dan, so go give him a follow on Twitter. If you want to join the Discord, get some of the questions in for a midweek pod, then please do head over to patreon.com/Above Average FPL, and we'll see you in the Discord. Outside of that, have a great game week.
Yeah, you too, mate.
Cool, man. Speak to you later.
But yeah.